That's just amazing. Did you see all those kids out there? That just fills you with energy, doesn't it? They're jumping up and down and they're moving around and they are just excited about Vacation Bible School. And it's an exciting time. Can you imagine if there were 7 kids in there? Would the energy change at all? Would you think that people would be less enthusiastic? Perhaps. The really key thing that I want us to learn in our leadership video today is that sometimes we forget that numbers are important. You know, it's easy for us to just conclude that our job is to do our very best, and that's all that's important. But the truth of the matter is, in leadership, you are trying to evaluate, is what I'm doing working? You know, one of the things that's a little bit discouraging to me sometimes when I talk to leaders in the church is that leaders in the church can become satisfied with the way things are. They can come to the place that say, you know what, it's all of us and no more. A little bit like a holy huddle. That can really happen if you're a small group leader or if you're a host home. Maybe even if you're a Sunday school teacher and you're going, you know, we've got such a neat group here. It's so cohesive and they love each other and they care about each other. And we really don't want very many new people in here, if any at all. Because, well, because something might change. We might get so big that we have to multiply into 2 groups. And then I wouldn't be with my friends. And I really, really enjoy being with my friends. One of the big dangers in the church is that we become satisfied with the way things are. We become satisfied with seeing the same people and developing the same friendships. The thing that we need to remember is that what Jesus called us to do is to make disciples. Making disciples naturally produces more people. It just does. If a person is growing in their ability of prayer and outreach and worship, and they're equipped to serve, and they're developing relationships, obviously what's going to happen is that there's going to be more people. Numbers don't guarantee that spiritual growth is happening. But if we are growing spiritually, there ought to be numbers there. There's a couple of interesting passages in the book of Acts that as the church is starting out, one of the things they discovered was that people were being reached. And it tells us in Acts chapter 2, beginning in verse 40, it says, with many other words, and it's describing Peter's first sermon. It says, with many other words, he, Peter, warned them, and he pleaded with them, save yourself from this corrupt generation. Those who accepted his message were baptized, and about, get this, 3,000 were added to their number that day. Wow. 3,000 in one day. Later on in the same chapter it tells us, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Leaders, here's my message. Don't become satisfied with just the group that you have. I'm so glad that some of you have developed really close relationships. And it's hard. But you know, as a parent, imagine if you were, you had a child, You raised them up, and they were about 19 years old, and they were a good student. They wanted to go away to college, and you said, no, you can't. You have to stay home. Maybe they met a person and said, you know what, we want to get married. And you say, no, you can't. You have to stay here. It won't be the same family if you end up going out. Leaders are about multiplying. Leaders are about equipping people to go do ministry. It is so easy for us to be satisfied with the group that we have. That's not what God's called us to do. God's called us to go and make disciples of all nations. Now, I'm excited about the churches we're planting in India. That's part of going. I hope that we are able to plant a church in Arizona in the next few years. It's exciting when you reach out to your neighbor. So whatever group you're leading, whether you're a home facilitator, whether you're a Sunday school teacher, whether you're a Kate's Cup leader, some churches, one of the things they do is they always have one extra chair. And they tell people that extra chair is for the new person that you're going to bring next week. We need to be reaching out. And I hope, and I pray, my prayer for you is that as a leader, you will not become satisfied with the size of your group. I have to tell you, it breaks my heart when we contact a group and say, can we bring somebody in to your group? And they say, no, we're full. We don't want anymore. Friends, when you get to that size, it's time to multiply into a couple of different groups. It's time to grow as a family. It's a time to reach out to others. So I trust this can be a really hard lesson for some who are hearing it, because you're so happy and so satisfied and so connected with these people in your group. And I encourage you to be bold, to go to the group and say, is there one or two other couples? If you've grown to the place that there's 7, 8, 9, 10 couples involved in your group, or there's 20 people in your group, maybe it's time to ask one or two others to go with you and to start a new life group, to start a new class. Our goal is to make disciples. Thanks. Be praying about this one, and I'll see you next week.